Welcome to Game 8 Reviews.
Spider-Man, one of the most well-loved icons in modern media that has swung its way into the hearts of many. Leaping out of his comic book home, our favorite web-slinging hero finds himself in various forms of media, from big movies to multiple television series. And while each iteration is as iconic as the next, there is something that must never be overlooked about the video game format that lets shine the many reflections and relationships near and dear to this beloved character. Spider-Man is no stranger to the console format, with Spider-Man 2 on the PS2 and Xbox, and the current continuation seems to follow and elevate the shadowing legacy to new heights. And with the game being developed finally for the PC, how can we not talk about our friendly neighborhood hero for the Queens? Released for the first time on the PS4 in 2018, and now recently remastered on the PS5, Marvel's Spider-Man by Insomniac Games helms one of the best interpretations of the superhero, bringing the bustling city of New York to life for the player to not only watch the hero, but be the hero. The game is simply the beginning of what could be a spectacular superhero video game series, with an incoming sequel just right around the corner. So without further ado, let's web shoot our way into one of the most epic video games out there.
Fisk.
Peter Parker is not your average run-of-the-mill young adult. Between superhero work and real life, he's stuck in a difficult situation.
True, but that's part of my charm, isn't it?
His work-life balance sucks.
Sorry I'm late.
He can't pay rent, his relationships are hard to keep up with at best.
Do you remember why we broke up?
This is a trick question, isn't it?
And every bad guy prowling around the city refuses to give this guy a break. The game really flashes out a Peter we know and love so much.
Scorpion, can you hold on a minute? I was in the middle of a phone call and it was business.
But in addition to this, the game sometimes turns the spotlight to other important characters around us. One notable addition to the story is Mary Jane Watson, Peter's ex-girlfriend and a courageous journalist.
Hey, Pete.
Escaped from the helpless damsel in distress cookie cutter, emerges an MJ with stalwart agency to reveal the truth and extract justice in her own fierce and loving way.
She's good.
Marvel's Spider-Man shows an MJ who's unafraid of a little trouble, and you get to really experience this big opportunity at character development when you get to play as her in a few select scenarios. Another character that is highlighted so well is the next Spider-Man to be himself, Miles Morales. The players are introduced to his origin story that complements the video game canon, and these little instances are like dipping your toes into warm water, turning this into a sweet precursor to the recently released Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales, released on the PS5. Having been a superhero for almost 8 years, we get a glimpse of a Spider-Man who is experienced and confident in what he does, as shown in the little banters he has with several people, especially the funny jabs he throws at unimpressed police captain and friend Yuri.
But you love me, right, Yuri?
I tolerate you.
But despite his confidence in donning the mask, we see the opposite in Peter, who struggles to keep himself together as he continues to sacrifice his life for the greater good over and over and over again, to a point that some may find this continuing behavior as self-destructive. But as we progress through the story, Peter learns that in order to help more people as Spider-Man, he needs to learn to accept help for himself, and to take better care of himself, even if it means walking away and making the harder decisions. But on a lighter note, as a little treat for completing the game, there are 3 DLCs that are bundled in the Game of the Year edition. Players get to interact with notable Spider-Verse characters like Black Cat, Hammerhead, and Silver Sable. The DLCs retain that solid writing and dialogue found in the base game, and it's a fantastic way to experience more of the game. And more Spider-Man content is always welcome.
I love those!
Here at GameMate, one of our favorite things to do in this game is to swing from building to building, scale tall skyscrapers, and perch on the highest points that overlook the entire city. Akin to Peter first getting his powers, swinging does not come too naturally, but the game is designed to make the transition palatable for everyone, with easy-to-follow instructions and forgiving reactive mechanics that blend beautifully with one's trusty Spidey senses. When you get used to things, the game's movement is fluid and dynamic, and given how reactive the controls can be, Spider-Man can swing and freestyle his way through the city that you sometimes forget that there's a fast travel option because of how fun swinging is. Spider-Man is best known for his presence on the big screen, and this is something Insomniac adapted really well into the game. The combat flows as if it were a choreographed fight scene out of the cinema itself. Everyone here at Game 8 can never forget how fast our hearts beat as we dodge at the exact right moment, followed by our screams of joy as we land the finishing blow in slow motion glory. Because of how reactive the game is, following your instincts is the best way to go, and the more you play it, the more your skills sharpen, and the better you get. One thing that did make us wish that spiders had night vision is because some areas are actually very poorly lit. Which is realistic for most places we choose to hide in, but it does hinder our momentum and can be frustrating to work around. Especially if there are enemies ready to sneak up behind you unawares. While combat is very flowy and almost seamless, it is difficult to target specific enemies, especially if you have a very precise plan of action in mind. While the game is forgiving on missteps and mistakes in combat, like if you push the wrong button, its targeting system isn't the most precise. Having a lock-on aspect to focus on one particular enemy, especially big bosses, would have opened the floor to more thought-out and entertaining strategies. You can strengthen Spider-Man by upgrading his suits and gadgets, and also unlocking different skills to turn the tide in battle with. Each skill and upgrade is assigned to different tokens that can be unlocked by completing tasks like stopping crime,
Always nice to stop a mugging.
fulfilling challenges from Taskmaster,
Could have done better.
solving scientific components in the
Paris
lab,
research station just proved why it needs to stay open.
picturing prominent NYC landmarks,
Masterpiece.
and discovering old backpacks that Peter scattered all across the city throughout the years.
My thesis paper on neurotechnology. This got me the job with Dr. Octavius.
EXP points are easily earned by fighting and progressing through the story, and this unlocks a skill tree that gives players the opportunity to customize their abilities to their preferred playstyle. You can opt to be more stealthy and strategic as you web up unassuming targets in the shadows, or opt to be a full-on web swinger that can kick the butts of all those enemy mobs. The city of New York never sleeps. If you need a break from web swinging towards enemy bases and beating the life out of ne'er-do-wells, there are a lot of things to do and places to go for Spidey. Help out citizens all around, like finding a college student's lost friend, to chasing pet pigeons all across the city.
Taking you home, buddy.
There are also a lot of mini-games that pay tribute to familiar faces for Marvel aficionados,
Perfect.
like hunting down Black Cat's outpost,
Maybe it's time to reignite the flame.
following Taskmaster's trail of mini-games, and more.
You know what I like about you, kid? You're always getting better.
Gee, thanks, creepy stalker guy.
These mini-games and side quests aren't simply just for fun. You can earn materials and tokens that you can use to help Peter upgrade his gear and improve his fighting prowess. And hey, if you also need a break from that, and just want to relax and take in your surroundings, you can explore the extensively crafted city of New York. The city is its own living and breathing microcosm, and you can tell the map was made with loving care. Sadly, crime is always around the corner, regardless if you take a break or not, giving players that tired but doing their best hero experience. Marvel Spider-Man takes the best of cinematography and implements it seamlessly into the game, from its visuals to its voice acting. Combat feels and looks instinctive and dynamic, as if you were in the movie yourself. One little detail we found a bit troublesome, however, was that some locations were rendered in very dark environments, giving players a hard time to explore and at more important times, hide from their enemies. But there is good news. The game was recently released in its remastered form on the PS5, and while the original was already breathtaking, the remastered version pushes the boundaries further in the field of graphics. Spidey's surroundings feel and look more naturally placed, reflections bounce back more realistically with a refined engine for retracing, and the darkness issue previously mentioned becomes a long-lost problem that has been solved. Though another thing we also did find a bit off-putting was the familiar face of Peter Parker that we have come to love on the PS4 version completely altered. It's like looking at a whole different person, a stranger even. The newest face, while just as handsome, looks far too young for us to believe that he's been swinging into the fray for 8 years. A heroic score is led by lead composer John Paisano. The music fits the game like a glove, tailor-fitted to accentuate the heart-ramming action scenes, web-swinging adrenaline, and the tear-jerking moments of vulnerability. Voiceover veteran Yuri Lowenthal truly shone in this role as our favorite neighborhood hero. His performance truly humanized both Peter and Spidey. Alongside Lowenthal are the amazing talents of English voice actors like Laura Bailey as MJ and Naji Jeter as Miles. And the nuance and humanness that they bring to the table to breathe life into these characters really makes you inevitably fall in love with them. Marvel's Spider-Man is a celebration of an iconic character made fresh through the lens of PlayStation technology. The cinematic approach of the game, mixed with the agency that comes with playing a video game, truly puts you in the shoes of the person behind the mask. An exploration of Peter's powers and the most human aspect of him that makes him one of the most well-loved characters in existing media. Peter Parker and Spider-Man, one in the same, are just as human as the person next to you. But it's his empathy and kindness and selflessness that truly makes him a hero. The game speaks of a message of the many shapes of love, and how the kindness of one can truly help the many. And as our favorite Aunt May loves to say, when you help someone, you help everyone. The game's compelling narrative direction hooks you throughout the intense action and the quieter moments, with scenes that are for sure unforgettable and no less than spectacular. With that in mind, we are shooting Marvel's Spider-Man up to the top of the Empire State Building with a spectacular 9 out of 10.
Masterpiece.
Marvel's Spider-Man scales greater heights as a near-perfect experience, going beyond the mesmerizing environments, jaw-dropping animations, epic score, and outstanding cast by not shying away from showing the consequences that follow great power and responsibility. What was your favorite Spidey moment in the game? What are your favorite zingers from our friendly neighborhood hero? Tell us in the comments section below. Thank you for sticking around with us. This is Game 8 Information Station, signing off.